Hello everyone, Nathalie today, and it is time to wrap up the month of February. 8 books have been read in the month of February, slightly some deviation from the official TBR. I can say that it was one of the rare months so far that I have pretty much just 5 stars reading. I had some tiny stars or some no stars at all. Killing Tide by A.J. Alderman, I think, if I'm not wrong. PJ. The thriller that I had started to read. I am having some really hard time getting through the writing, so I don't remember exactly how much it's in a digital format that I started, but I'm not going to DNF it yet. I have decided to push it aside and to go back at some future time. 2 stars reading was A Drop of Night by Stefan Bachman. There it is. The book I started to read in September, I had to put it aside halfway because it was a huge triggers for my confinement fear. But at the time in September, I was in an extremely high peak of anxiety without a medication, and it was excruciating for me not only to keep reading, but to live on an everyday basis. Now that I'm under medication and I feel better and slightly stronger, I decided to try, and I was able to finish it. The story, I explained it in the last 72 hours readathon or vlogging readathon that I just did, and it's just posted. But I can tell you very quickly that a handful of teenagers from America or have been selected by Sapanis. I think this is a huge, powerful and wealthy corporation to be fly back into Paris in France and to have kind of the exclusivity to discover the myth of a hidden palace which has been constructed slightly before the time of the French Revolution, 1789. A myth because nobody ever saw that palace. It's supposed to be huge, gigantic. When they are arriving, like really after a few tiny short hours being at the surface palace, they are drugged, and when they woke up, they are underneath, like deep down underneath. And they're going to realize that everywhere that they are going, all of the different rooms, pieces are full of traps to kill anyone which can be inside. So obviously they are going to try to find a way to stay alive. So the whole thing could have been prevented if it wasn't for the author to get a specific result, a specific outcome. So yes, of course, it's always the decision of the author, but when it destroys everything, if you want to try the book, be aware that if you have some confinement and claustrophobic phobia symptoms or problem, maybe carefully going into it. The other slow stars reading, 3.5, was for Under an Amber Sky by Rose Alexander. It's more kind of a slice of life book. I wanted to say movie, but it reminds a lot of the movie Under Tuscan Sun, which I love. We have a young British Londoner widow who cannot see herself keep living in London. Everything reminds her of her husband who suddenly died. So she, on a whim, decided to buy a house, an old one, which in despair need of repair in Montenegro. She packed everything, goes living there, and then she has to find a way to go through her grieving. At the same time, in that house, she's going to find a handful of old letters written by one of the previous owner of the house, dated 1941 or 42, I think, and the wife, who's written try to communicate with her husband, who has been captured by the Italians, who occupied Montenegro at the time of the Second World War, and he has been detained in Mamula Island, which was kind of a concentration camp. And so Sophie, the widowed, is fascinated and very curious about that story, and she's trying to find out what happened to that couple. So this is pretty much what happened during the whole book. So like I said, it is really a slice of life. The whole story stretched out on a whole year, I think, or slightly more, and in that way it was too long. You feel the weakness. Obviously it's always personal opinion, but yeah. So everything else, I think, if I'm not wrong, is pretty much 5 stars. So I started the month with Jezero City, which is part of the Colony Mars series by Gerald M. Kilby. Indie authors, my favorite one so far, and my favorite sci-fi series so far. This 4th installment could be a standalone. It has been written kind of way of a standalone, so if you want to go with that one, you can, without having read the 3 previous ones. I'm gonna do, well, it's already filmed, but it's gonna be posted in the next few days or few weeks, a special video insider on that series, and to slightly talk about that more. But Jezero City, we are 10 years after the previous event of Colony 3 Mars. We can see what happened afterwards for the whole planet, for the inhabitants, and we can definitely say that the Earth is really a problem, and they really can't stand Mars and what's going on there, and they are ready to do anything to make it stop. Gerald M. Kilby did give some explanation here and there to what happened before, so that's why you're not going to be really lost. Obviously, you're going to lose a lot of excitement of what happened in the previous books, but you are not lost at reading it as a standalone. So we still can see Dr. Jan Malbec, but she's more in the background. Now it is more Mia, a new colonist on Mars, and on Earth she was a cop. So that's pretty much the reason why she has been picked up by Dr. Jan Malbec to do a very discreet investigation, because one of the first colonists has been found dead, and Dr. Jan Malbec is very much suspicious that this is more a murder than a bad, sad accident. And Mia is gonna try to find out what happened and probably try to save the planet. I cannot say enough good thing about that whole series to read, and loving the writing of the author. So since I wanted to stay with Gerald M. Kilby, I went with Reaction. This is a standalone, and this is a techno-thriller in the south of France, not so far from Monte Carlo. We have, I think this is the French team or the European team who built a fusion reactor to provide free or to provide more energy. You have the Chinese as well. They are building, I forgot, but they are using an element on the moon. I'm so wrong. I forgot completely about that. But you know what? It's gonna be more surprise for you. They are using, it's not helium. It is helium or helium-3 that they are finding only on the moon for building their own reactor. But the multi-billionaire who is the Chinese one who is doing that has some very dark plan to sabotage the European reactor in the south of France. It's true that it's full of techno dangerous spying things, and it was exciting. It's fast-paced. Really, till the end, you want to know what's going on. It's a short one, all done. It's just 200 pages, well, 202. It could have been slightly longer because you really feel the condense of the story. But it doesn't take anything away. I gave it 5 stars. Then I wanted to give a chance to 359 by Gretchen McNeil. Sorry, it's gonna be better that way. I think it's gonna be better that way. This is a young adult urban fantasy. We are following Josie. Her parents has been separated. She has some hard time with her boyfriend who just cheated on her with her best friend. Classic plot. And kind of an event is going to happen surrounding the work of her mother. She is a scientist, and she's working at home. Not really some kind of an explosion, but something like that. And she's pretty much going to realize afterwards that at 3:59 a.m. or p.m. there's kind of a wormhole opening between 2 different dimensions, and in the other dimensions she can see throughout a specific mirror another one who looks exactly like her. She's called Jo, and they pretty much quickly gonna decide to exchange for one day the life of the other, because Jo on the other dimension seemed to have a better life, and Josie from this dimension, she missed that. But she's gonna realize that Jo from the other dimension keep hidden some huge informations about what's going on in that other dimension, and she's not gonna want to come back at the end of the 24 hours. So Josie is gonna be stuck for a little while on another dimension. You cannot get out at night without trying to be killed by some creatures that no one can see. They are kind of invisible, but if they catch you, you're gonna be gruesomely killed. And oh man, I didn't expect it. That I thought it's gonna be some thriller. Oh my god, it was so good. It was really fast-paced. I was really captivating every pages to know what is going to happen. How is she be able to go back into her dimensions, and what are those creatures, and why this switch, and why everything happened, and there's so much thing happening that I cannot say. It was such a pleasant surprise. I really did love that one. I forgot a tiny 4.5 stars. Just slightly one under the 5 stars. Matchmaking for Beginners by Maddie Dawson. It was a previous reading vlog that I did on that one. It is a feel-good story, feel-good book. An older woman who's gonna do her best at trying to make a young one that has been connected to her nephew, or I don't remember the level, the rank in the family, but the marriage didn't last. Like, it was really super short, and so she's kind of forcing and trying to make her understand that she is due to have a wonderful, a big life. She's gonna inherit the building that old lady got in Brooklyn, and she has to stay 3 months living there before taking the decision at selling it or not. She's gonna need the help of a village around her. That's a few different strangers. Everyone has been hurt one way or another, physical or emotionally, and they pretty much all need each other to go back stronger. So it was really light and fluffy and a happy read. The Silent Companions by Laura Purcell. Oh man, it was so captivating. I couldn't put it down. I really wanted it. And how many times did I say to myself, if this has to be adapted into a movie or a TV show, I wouldn't be able to watch it because it's gonna be too scary. In the 19th century, following in England. Uh, again, a young widow. She's gonna have to live in the family country house, which hasn't been occupied for decades, a very long time. And this is in a very small village. Because of some strange noise happening mostly at night in the attic, they're gonna call it the garret, they're gonna discover what they are calling a companion. So it is kind of difficult to know exactly how it is. It is a mix between, I would say, a painting and I don't even know, a cardboard thing of someone, a silhouette things, but in wood. So it's not a painting because you really have the shape, everything is in place, but the paint by itself is so intricate and perfect that anyone is mistaken at thinking this is a real person before really standing in front of and touching and realize that, oh no, it's not real. And maybe you can see that it's more the style of the Dutch painter. They gonna realize that that painting that is a bit kind of scary by itself, they are gonna place it in the great entry hall, and suddenly it's gonna feature in the living area else, and no one place it there, and it's like, okay, what happened? And another companion painting is gonna appear, and it's like, who bringing back? And it's like, no one did, and it's like, whew. Oh man, this is so good. I didn't imagine, I didn't thought a second that it's gonna be so good, so thrilling. And the ending, which obviously I'm not gonna tell you, oh, this is so good. This is such a wicked twist at the end. It is a sad one for the main character, but this is such a good one. Oh, it is, I don't know, it has been a long time that I read something with something so good the whole time, including the ending, and I already talked about it so much around me. But yes, please try. I really needed to go for a thriller, and for the last few short weeks, I really heard the call coming from the shelves behind, and that one, An Unwanted Guest by Cheryl Lapena, called me stronger. Pick me. So I said that, you know what, I'm gonna read you, and oh, that was good. It is a good old mystery thriller, and it got so much the vibes of an Agatha Christie. We are following a group of strangers going for a weekend in Scaley, we'll say, or North New York. This is a very small family hotel, but a luxury one, very comfy and everything else. But when they are arriving on the Friday, there is a snowstorm, and it's gonna turn out to become an ice storm. So the next morning, not only they're gonna lose all the power, so shut down completely everywhere in winter with some wind and storm, but they're gonna discover that one of the guests is dead, and pretty much quickly one of the guests, an attorney, is gonna suggest that she has been murdered. Oh, so it is so good because it's pretty much quickly like, okay, so one of them did it. Who did? And obviously, why? And then when you're gonna get another death, and then another one, it's like, oh man, this is good. So gripping to the story, I really did love the writing of Cheryl Lapena. I think I'm gonna try maybe The Couple Next Door. So you have the anxiety build up because they can't trust anyone. Who can they trust? 5 stars. I really did love a classic good old mystery thriller. This, I thought it's gonna fall down. This is everything that I read for the month of February. So yes, slightly a few things that I wasn't able to catch. So like I said, it's gonna be pushed further at some point. That's gonna be read because I really want to go for them. And Everything else, man, that was a surprise. 5 stars after 5 stars, and just two are not really there, but it happens sometimes. I really hope that you're gonna give it a try for one of those because it's so good. And I really can't wait to chat and exchange with you about what you are thinking. What are your thoughts about those books if you had read them already, or if you will, what's going to happen for you. But in the meantime, have so strong, passionate, or thrilling reading, and see you next time.